coming to. Seems like everyone is running from the truth. We just stand up and fight, walk into the night. We're the people, we can do it if we try. I know we can do it. Somebody asked me, why do we have to go through it? It's just the test of our faith. But we're living day to day. We don't know where, we don't know when. But it's coming back again. Oh, yes, it is. It's made me. Oh, God, it's time for you to return. Oh, God, see. I know. Time to make a change.
Here on Truth Time, that's what we attempt to do every single day, which is make a change. We count it all joy that you are here with us today. Dr. West and I are going to explore some big issues. Number one, President Donald J. Trump is going to address Congress tonight. Now, this is not necessarily considered the State of the Union address because usually the State of the Union is about previous gains, previous things that a president has done the year before. So tonight, this is simply a rah-rah address. And secondly, how should Democrats respond to this? How should progressives respond to this? Some are saying they're going to boycott. Others are saying, oh, we're going to bring all kinds of American citizens into the place, like veterans. And then does MAGA have a double standard on freedom of speech? No, I know they don't have a double standard. I know President Donald J. Trump does not have a double standard when it comes to freedom of speech. But before we get to all of those topics, the doctor is in the house. Dr. West, what is on your heart, your soul, and your mind on this day?
Well, first, I just count my blessings every day that as a Black man, I'm still in my right mind after over 70-something years, still trying to tell the truth and seek justice.
Amen.
And I think one of the most difficult things in these times with Gangster Trump at the helm is, what happens to truth? It's casualty in the middle of this kind of war. What happens to justice was not even an afterthought. If we don't continually raise our voices, and at times it looks as if we're just repeating ourselves, but that's all right. There's nothing wrong with repeating yourself when you're talking about let us muster the courage to tell the truth. Let us muster the courage to fight for justice and to cut against the grain. And so as we wonder what's going to be said later on today, of course, we don't hold our breath. Of course, Trump is not at the center of our attention. Of course, Trump is in no way the fundamental gaze to which we view ourselves. We're not parasites on his host. Our aim is to make sure we make as visible and as potent as possible the great tradition that produced us. And part of our challenge is that our great tradition of courage and vision and sacrifice and service is getting weaker and weaker because the very transactional mode that Gangster Trump exemplifies is becoming more and more exemplary in our own communities, in our own leadership, in our own lives. And so part of the question of talking about the spiritual decay and moral decrepitude of the empire as it declines and decays is how do we fight it from within ourselves, and how do we fight it from within our own communities, families, and tradition. And that's why we keep coming back every day on Truth Time. But you can't tell the truth if you're not telling the truth about yourself. Can't tell the truth to power if you're not honest about yourself. Can't tell the truth to the people you love unless you have enough revolutionary patience to listen to where they are and find out where they are, and then push them lovingly, less by word than by example. You just keep loving them. Even when they trashing you, you keep loving them. Even when they put you down, you keep loving them. You keep fighting for them. You keep letting them know I'm the most reliable ally you really have, but it may not appear at the moment. But when you down and out, you look around, who's still in your corner? The love warriors, the freedom fighters. That's what's kept Black people going. That's what's kept oppressed people going around the world. And that's what we need so badly, my dear sister, today. And that's why we continually come back to these issues of morality and spirituality, of perseverance, of resilience before we even get to resistance.
Yeah, amen, Doc. All of those things, they all go together. They are inseparable. And it's, I don't know, Doc, you hitting on something about, love your enemies. Love those who spitefully, use you and abuse you and talk about you. That's a hard thing to do, but necessary.
Well, the thing is, if God is going to use you, you have to be open enough such that you're not so obsessed with your enemies. Because if you're obsessed with your enemies, you're exerting too much energy. By the time God want to use you, your energy's gone because you're so worried about being obsessed with your enemies. No, and if you're going to tell the truth, you're going to have zillion enemies. If you're going to pursue justice, it's cruciform. You're headed toward the cross. Yeah. And the cross is not something to talk about. It's something that you die on.
Oh, that's a word. The cross is not something you talk about. It's something you die on, baby. That right there. When we come forward, Dr. Cornel West and I will continue our conversation. You are listening to Truth Time.
Speaking truth to power and to the powerless. This is Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out.
Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stings that just will never come out.
Oh, Downy in the rinse straight.
Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part, they accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Here comes the brand new flavor in your head.
Race, social justice, sports, politics, art, music, culture. We do it all on the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show. If you're not tuning in, then you are definitely missing out. It's the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show weekdays from 2 to 4 only on unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 15.
Like a brand new flavor in your head. Yeah.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
To thine own self be true. More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
Resilience in the face of moral decay, Doc. And looking at the man and the woman in the mirror, that's pretty much what you said. Before we can take it further, we got to assess ourselves every single day. That must be done on a regular basis. And speaking of assessments, Doc, the president is going to address Congress today. As we said before we came forward again, is the fact that this is not a traditional State of the Union address. State of the Unions talk about past performance, past accomplishments. This address to Congress is more about Trump talking about what he is going to do. And my God, he has done a lot. The chaos machine has been cranked up since this president was sworn into office on January the 20th. So, Doc, tonight, I'm sure he's going to talk about how he's everything and then some, better than sliced bread and all that other stuff. The word on the street is that he's going to try to blame, Biden and probably even President Obama for past things, and how he's going to come in and clean it all up. It is going to be an interesting discussion tonight with President Donald J. Trump. And considering the fact that he ran on pushing inflation down, and he said that he can force the cost of eggs to go down, and that inflation was going to go down, none of those things has happened as of yet. And before people start clutching the pearls saying it's only been a month and a half, I'm just telling you what the man said that he was going to do. But meanwhile, at executive orders, he's signing a whole bunch of executive orders to hurt folks. The tariffs are about to kick in that he put on Canada and Mexico, which is going to hurt working class people. It's going to hurt eventually the bottom line of folks that spend money on the items that have the tariffs. But Doc, he didn't come in with all deliberate speed on lowering the prices of eggs, pushing down inflation. None of that.
That's true. That's true. No, it's clear he's on the war path. We talk on this show about his war against black people, his war against poor people, his war against working people. And he's creating chaos. But see, what the gangster Trump has to realize that he's not the only one who can create chaos. See, you get chaos from below. That can be as dangerous and as a threat to stability as chaos from above. And unfortunately, sadly, he's talking to a Congress that is just so weak. So that it's not just him, but Republican Congress, of course, Republican Party will defer to anything. They could talk about how much they're in love with the president of Ukraine, and 2 days later, after Trump has disrespected him, they can't say a mumbling word. So Zelensky looks back and says, well, I know these folk have no integrity. They have no backbone. They have no spine whatsoever. Then you look at the Democratic Party in the Congress. They in panic. They don't know what to do. Bernie and others, trying to go on these various tours. And Bernie's doing what he can, and I salute my dear brother. But he's the exception that makes the rule. But the Democrats, for the most part, are completely overwhelmed, in panic and paralyzed. And so you figure, well, very soon the people themselves are going to wake up. And when they wake up and they feel as if there's nobody representing them, and they feel as if there's no way in which their voices can have impact in shaping their destiny, there's going to be some chaos producing on the streets.
Go ahead, Doc. Speaking of that, the leadership within the Republican Party is just all up in arms because several members of the GOP have set out on the road, and they've been having these town halls, and their constituents have been letting them have it. Now, of course, the Republicans want to say that this is staged, this is set up. These people are not really their constituents, but no, go ahead and take your medicine. You asked for this, but you have these crowds, Doc, complaining about Elon Musk, complaining about Doge, which I call Dodge. All they doing is dodging, but complaining about Doge, saying that Elon Musk has too much power. Elon Musk's poll numbers are very low, and Musk probably will become a pain point for President Donald J. Trump here shortly. But to see that now the Republicans are going to run from their constituents, they have been advised, don't have town halls, just send out newsletters. Let's take the social media, but whatever you do, do not, under any circumstances, go out among the people and do not give the Democrats a talking point, a sound bite. And this thing is so warped because they more concerned about giving the Democrats a sound bite than they are about listening to the pain points of their constituents when they talk about the decimation of the Department of Education, when they talk about the fact that these cuts that are being made have hurt veterans. I mean, they taking it to them, because they are realizing. So your point about, the bubbling up from the underground, so
below,
to speak.
absolutely.
Come on. It's gonna cause chaos.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But I think what will probably happen is that the Republican Party will have to deal with its chickens coming home to roost with Trump. And because most of the leaders are spineless, that you're going to get Republicans on the ground who are upset. And it's going to take a little bit more time for them to turn against Trump because he's put a spell on them for a while. But that spell will fade once their cash flow fades.
That's right. That's right. And we're seeing it. And how much longer can Trump blame Biden? I guess he can continue to do that because when I reflect back to the Biden administration, unfortunately, they continued to blame Trump for stuff and the man wasn't even in office.
Right.
And I just don't have I don't have tolerance for that one way or the other. Now, when you first get in and you say, okay, so-and-so, I'm gonna do this better, I'm gonna do this differently. But for 4 whole years, you still blaming the person that was there for you. That tells me a lot about you. And the Democrats thought that they could ride on that, which is one of the reasons why we're in this situation right now, because instead of having a vision that provides provision for the people, material conditions being changed for the everyday people of this country, they spent the overwhelming amount of their time blaming President Trump. They spent a whole lot of time punching the progressive left. They spent a whole lot of time answering to their owner donors, of which both parties answer to that. I mean, all of that. And so that swirling produced what we have right here. But again, going back to these Republicans, though, the nerve, the absolute nerve to care more. And I want folks to hear this. And if you got some GOP folks in your family, God bless them and love them. Because Doc and I don't roll that way. I really don't care. We're talking about humanity, but the nerve, the absolute nerve to say that you care more about giving the other party a soundbite than you do about addressing the pain points of your constituents. I mean, that's wild.
That is true, and that's about as low as you can get. But right when you think folks reach a low point, they get lower. Trump specializes in that. The Republican Party specializes in that, and the Democratic Party, they find themselves too often doing the same thing in their own way, and this is why people are so disgusted with the system as a whole, and so profoundly disappointed in both of the parties, as you say, so colonized, dominated, owned by the benefactors, the big money givers. And the people have to find some way of expressing their collective voices or putting forward their collective voices to express a vision tied to what you so rightly say, provisions. I like that.
Yes, that's it, Doc.
I like that.
Yeah, listen. I'm on here with you every day. I got to get me some rhyming and stuff. So we rubbing off.
That's a fresh word. No, you had that before you met me. Now you had.
I know, Doc. We're still though. But it's true. I mean, that's what people want a group of elected officials to do. I mean, I'm in an elected office to serve you, and how can my service make your material conditions better, not worse? And it is particularly acute on the federal level of government, where they always wrestling with one another. And there's a saying that when the elephants wrestle, It's the grass that is damaged. And that is what happens in real life, in real politics, in real time on Truth Time. We talking about this, how the damage that the two parties are always at one another and trying to get a one up on one another instead of being laser focused on service. I mean, that is the disruption. That is one of the failings of this system, Doc.
That's very real. That's so very real. But we had our dear brother Dimitri, who was pastor in Bethlehem, one of the great Christian leaders, Palestinian Christian brother who gave a powerful, powerful sermon today at its Union Seminary. And he was talking about how all 13 universities had been completely destroyed, every molecule gone. And you say to yourself, not one university president in America could even say that publicly. And yet every university in Palestine is gone. And you say, well, how can any U.S. government have any moral authority, any moral credibility, if you allow the 20,000 babies to be murdered and every university gone, every brick, every piece and portion and portal of a university gone, and you can't raise your voice?
Right.
You know what I mean? At what point does the immorality and the cowardliness set in such that we have no expectations of people who would allow something like that?
Yeah.
And that's been something the black folk had to come to terms with for a long time. How you going to live in a country whose laws allow for the enslavement of your folk for almost 100 years, who can't pass a lynching bill? 1900 it's introduced, ain't passed it. They passed a couple of years ago?
That's it, Doc.
120 something years for the Congress to pass a lynching bill to make it a federal crime to lynch black people? What are we talking about here? I don't want to get cynical and nihilistic, but we're trying to engage in truth talk. This is truth time. And we're always going to fight. We're always going to be resilient. We're always going to have resistance, but we got to be very honest and candid about how sick the country really is.
Yeah.
And has been.
For a long time and still is. And based on, Black people understand that in some of the deepest ways. And that's not to disregard anybody else's pain, any other group's experience. But the chattel slavery nature of the Black experience makes that pain point something that nobody else, no other group, at least here, born on this soil, can just can relate to in that way. In fact, you made me think of a great book that I definitely want to recommend people who are counting it all joy to be with us today, and it's Faces at the Bottom of the Well. The great constitutional scholar Derek Bell. And the point that you're making, I mean, his premise is that this country is never going to treat Black folks right. We got to understand that and accept it. He also talks about resilience, like never give up. But he set that foundation there. That a country that could do all the things that you just laid out and then some, even after legalized slavery, they found another way in other names to keep the system going. And we talk about this all the time, Doc, but you made it very clear that the South definitely won the peace. The North won the war. You do have to question what type of society could continue to viciously attack its Black citizens generation after generation after generation and be all right with it.
That's exactly right. And what is fascinating and what we'll hear tonight is the raw, unmediated version of the worst of the American empire. But Trump is very honest about it, and he's very candid about his gangsterism. He's candid about the thuggish character of his vision and his policies. And so when you really look about what he means by great, he wants America to be great like we were in the 19th century.
That's it.
We can grab Greenland, we can grab Canada, we can grab Panama, we can utter war crimes from the Oval Office. We want ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. We want their land. We're going to turn it into Trump Gaza and so forth. Well, see, this is 19th century. Well, the gangsterism was much thicker. Now, the gangsterism never went away, but it was refashioned, in some ways refined. Well, we're getting the raw version of it with Trump. And you would hope that that would lead people to see what the realities have been hidden under the veils, as it were. He rips the veil off.
Ooh, he does. You know, it reminds me of portions of Minister Malcolm X's The Ballad or the Bullet, where he gave that speech in Michigan, in Detroit, in 1964, I believe. And he talked about the Republican and the Democratic Party. So just as he described the North and the South as the difference between the fox and the wolf, he described both political parties as the difference between the fox and the wolf. Meaning, and he said, but they both want the same thing, and that is the lamb chop. So it don't matter if you're dealing with the fox or the wolf. One is direct, straight up, and that's what the GOP is in this day. And the other one is a little more coy, a little slyer, and that is the Democratic Party. But ultimately, he said, they want the same thing, that Black people are not being served, marginalized people are not being served. And Doc, if we just closed our eyes and Minister Malcolm X were still alive on this day, his words ring just as true today in 2025 as they did in 1964. You are listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we come forward, we will continue our conversation.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
So I'm not driving you, man.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Members of the Democratic Women's Caucus will wear pink to President Trump's speech tonight in protest, while other groups use color to show opposition. Ukraine supporters in blue and yellow, and the Congressional Black Caucus in black. 2 House Democrats are investigating the Department of Justice decision to drop corruption charges against Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams. They cite a prosecutor's resignation as a sign of a possible quid pro quo, dropping the case in exchange for Adams' support of Trump's immigration policies. A Black San Francisco woman is suing a police officer over an illegal jaywalking arrest, claiming racial targeting and civil rights violations. She says the officer stalked her and arrested her mid-crosswalk. And Serena Williams is now part owner of Toronto's WNBA team, debuting in 2026. She calls it a win for female athletes and will help design jerseys and merch. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The CONCACAF Nations League finals arrive at SoFi Stadium March 20th through the 23rd. USA versus Panama, followed by Canada versus Mexico. Get your tickets now on Ticketmaster. For more information, visit CONCACAFNationsLeague.com/tickets.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers' defense has been a big part of the team's 6-game winning streak. During the streak, the Lakers are averaging 8.7 steals and 4.8 block shots. The Lakers are going for their 7th straight win tonight against New Orleans at Crypto.com. The Lakers will be missing 2 starters. Austin Reeves has a calf strain and Rui Hachimura has a hyperextended knee. The Clippers are at Phoenix tonight. More bad news for the Dallas Mavericks and their fan base. They lost Luka Doncic to the Lakers last month. Tuesday morning, the Mavericks found out that all-star guard Kyrie Irving will miss the rest of the season with a torn ACL in his left knee. On top of that, Anthony Davis, the player Doncic was traded for, is still recovering from a strained abductor muscle. AD has played only 3 quarters for the Mavericks since the monumental trade on February 2nd. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to announce that, like George and Weezy,
Well, we're moving on now.
Earlier this year, we were named a semifinalist for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You ready?
KBLA Talk 1580 was recently selected as one of 10 finalists being considered for this prestigious award. Hundreds of organizations, institutions, and even cities were nominated in the selection process. But KBLA Talk 1580 has made it to the finals. You're invited to watch live on Wednesday, April 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, as Eco America announces the winner and the runner-up, awarding over $200,000 in prize money. To watch live, just go to ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
There's new reaction following the Trump administration's sweeping efforts to cut the federal workforce.
Fired but not forgotten. The Testimony Project. Bearing witness, breaking silence, building community. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to amplifying the voices of Black federal workers impacted by the mass firings. Rooted in the Black tradition of testimony, this initiative ensures that those who served us are not erased from history. Through firsthand accounts, investigative storytelling, and community-driven dialogue, we intend to expose injustice, preserve truth, and demand accountability. If you or someone you know has been forced out of federal employment due to the mass firings, please contact us at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or via the open mic feature on the KBLA 1580 app. We want to hear from you and share your story. KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way Black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like your style, though.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Yes, you are. Well, it is that time in the show where we turned to some of the folks that are watching us live, Doc, on the YouTube channel. We have Blessed Peacemaker in the house. Hello, Blessed Peacemaker. We're sending you blessings and love. Blessed Peacemaker, blessings, Senator Turner and Dr. West. Greetings from your fam here in East Africa. Let's remember love wins. Blessed Peacemaker goes on. Gandhi spent 4 hours per day praying through the Sermon on the Mount, 2 hours each morning and evening. The colonizers packed their bags and left. That was the result of that effort. Love your enemies. So Blessed Peacemaker laying that down. We have White Rabbit. People are realizing that freedom is not free. Freedom is a heavy burden that we all must carry together. Oh, so powerful.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. But you know, there's a spiritual freedom and there's a moral freedom that we always have, that no tyrant, no oppressor can ever take away from you. Now, social and economic and political freedom is something else. You have to have organization. You have to bring power and pressure to bear. But you can be free. You see, Angie Stone, Roberta Flack, Jerry Butler, they were free in their souls. That's why they fed our souls. You see. Gandhi, who our brother and sister invokes from Kenya, you see. That brother was free. That truth force, that love force, that satyagraha, He was freed. That's what Martin Luther King appropriated too. So we need a spiritual and a moral freedom that refuses any of us to be on anybody's plantation. And you have to have that spiritual freedom before you can even fight for political and economic freedom. George Clinton say what? Free your mind and something gonna follow.
Yes. Free your mind. Morris Phillips, America is in serious decline, obviously. And Doc, you preach that gospel all the time. Lemon exhaustion. I can never get enough of Truth Time. Oh man, it's
so
coming
kind.
in, Doc. Yeah.
That's so kind.
Artist Moore Jr., the soul speaks. Facts. Yeah, the soul does speak. We appreciate each and every one of you sharing your thoughts with us today. You could have been doing any little thing, but you are here navigating the world with us on Truth Time. We appreciate you so very much. And those of you who are listening and not necessarily commenting, we appreciate you as well. So, Doc, what will the Democrats do tonight? You know, there have been mixed reports about how they are going to respond. I mean, right here during the commercial at KBLA Talk 1580, there was reported in the news feed that the Democratic women are going to wear pink. Let me not chuckle. The Black Caucus is gonna wear black. Some other folks gonna wear some other colors for Ukraine.
Oh Lord!
You know what, Doc?
Lord have mercy. Put on your Kunte clothes again. Good
hey,
God.
Right? That kneeling they did with that Kente cloth.
The Kente cloth. That's what it was.
Oh Lord!
They need to walk out. If he's the fascist they say he is, walk out on the cat. Do something that has real heft and gravitas. Don't change their fashion, please.
You know what? I can never play poker. I mean, I just want our listeners, our viewers to know, don't ever play poker with Sister Nina Turner. I could never do it because I just can't keep a straight face. They think this stuff is just performance. It's just all performance. All this stuff is fluff. It means absolutely nothing. But that's what some of them are going to do. Others of them, Speaker Hakeem Jeffries said, you know, that some of the members are going to bring folks with them, bring firefighters, bring veterans, bring, you know, Americans who have somehow been impacted already by the month and a half, negatively impacted, I should say, by the month and a half that President Trump has been in office.
But I can tell you this, though, that if the president was a black fascist, whole lot of folk walking out, whole lot of folk not gonna be there. They ain't gonna change their little fashion clothing for one day, but you end up with a white fascist and, oh, I just have to change to pink today. Please spare me, spare me. The whole country is going under, the crushing the poor, attacks on black people, genocide being responsive in Gaza, AFRICOM being empowered on the continent of Africa, and all they can do is wear pink. Please. Now, we love cold pink. Now, I love
love us some cold pink.
Sister Medea and them, I love them.
They about action, though.
They wear their pink all the time. I'm with them. I'm going to jail with them and they pink.
I know you have, Doc, as they stumping down them halls of Congress, letting them know, getting in the faces of them Congress members, letting them know. That's different.
That's right.
That's different.
That's exactly right.
I don't know, Doc. Maybe they could take a page out of Cold Pink. But they run from Cold Pink too.
Democrats will express themselves and be willing to go to jail, but you have to let folk know this is no ordinary moment. These are times in which something has to be done that is outside of the usual.
That's right. That's exactly right. But they gonna think they've done something by having the rainbow colors tonight, where the camera pans the audience and you can point out the people who are wearing pink and the Black Caucus gonna wear black,
and the Black Congressional Caucus gonna wear black.
They need not.
They already black. They already black.
They got to wear. Well, that's how we can tell that they got the dawn. It ain't in them. Black is a cultural thing. It ain't in them. They are not adhering. And I've said this time and time again. I will continue to say it. There are individuals who do. But as a caucus, they are not adhering to why the Black Caucus was created in the first place. And one of the folks that was at the helm in that, Louis Stokes, Congressman Louis Stokes, God bless, rest his soul. But they are not adhering, Doc. They didn't do it in the Biden administration. Maybe had they done a little more than wear the kente cloth and don black clothing.
With George Floyd getting lynched in public, yes.
Yeah, Trump wouldn't be in office.
Telling you.
But they did nothing. They think this is performance, people. Don't get caught up in it. It's all superficial nonsense. And I don't understand. If the Freedom Caucus, on the Republican side of the Tea Party, I'm old enough to remember the Tea Party.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Small but mighty. I didn't agree with their foolishness, but I tell you what, they let them folks know.
That's right.
You may outnumber us, but we gonna out protest you. We gonna let folks know that we are not pleased. We gonna shake this thing up in here on you. You ain't gonna rest.
Right.
And the Black Caucus could have done the same thing during the Biden administration, so we could have got some deeper material changes, and then we wouldn't be dealing with this neo-fascist gangster.
That's real. That's exactly right. That's what you call the colossal failure of Black congressional leadership.
Colossal, Doc.
Colossal.
Jeez, I do not get it. But you know what? Most of them are not going to suffer the same fate of the constituencies that they represent. So their heart and soul is not in it. They are nowhere near the caliber of the Black Caucus members that came before them that was willing to put something on the line. And we're not even asking them to put anything on the line like our forebearers did in generations gone by. All we asking them to do is to use those fancy titles and the power and the privilege that they have to make some noise and to make some demands and get some returns for their people. But that may be too much to ask. The Black Caucus will be in black tonight. The women Democrats will be in pink and other folks will be in other colors. You heard it here, folks, on Truth Time. Makes your head spin when Dr. West and I come forward. We will talk about the freedom of speech may not be as free anymore. You're listening to Truth Time.
It's Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
Fatherhood includes being present during pregnancy and beyond, supporting your partner, advocating for your baby, and ensuring a healthy birth. Black fathers play a key role in reducing maternal and infant health disparities, and your involvement starts during pregnancy. Join the free AIM Fatherhood Program today and learn how to support your partner, advocate for your baby's health, and connect with other fathers committed to healthier births. Visit blackinfantsandfamilies.org/fatherhood to get started.
Yeah, y'all, come on.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah,
Gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey! I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Truth crushed to earth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, you are. And back to some of the comments on YouTube, Docs. We have a question about, is Cold Pink a Black organization? That is the question that is coming from Caesar Blue Hive. And no, it's led by some Jewish sisters, but anybody can join Cold Pink. They're anti-war organization, but people like Muddear Benjamin and many others are in that organization. They are anti-war. But Muddear Benjamin, as our Jewish sisters, just strong in every. She about 4 feet 10 inches, walking around there like she a giant.
She's a magnificent freedom fighter, a human being. Muddear Benjamin and her other Cold Pink sisters and brothers and siblings have always been willing to put their bodies on the line, go to jail in the name of poor people and oppressed people.
Yes,
it's a beautiful
absolutely.
thing.
It is a beautiful thing, but anybody can join. It's called Cold Pink Anti-War Group. And then we got Caesar Blue Hive. Tell them, Turner. Oh yeah, we trying to do just that. And yeah, so all of that. We got many more folks just chiming in, basically saying amen, Doc, and really enjoying the show. So we have the president of the United States of America who decried Democrats, saying that they were clamping down on other people's freedom of speech. Yet here he comes, and also the co-president Elon Musk and the things that they're doing, clamping down on free speech, from threatening to send students from other countries back to their country on these college campuses, messing with college campuses and protest and that kind of thing. You know, how do we respond? It reminds me a lot of McCarthyism from the 50s, what this president is deciding to do. And it is very much the antithesis of the First Amendment of the Constitution. You have constitutional scholars weighing in on this, and you have others, elected officials, rightfully so, weighing in on this, saying that this president is going too far.
Absolutely. Well, you just get the hypocrisy of it all. I mean, it was a few years ago, the right wing was saying that liberals were promoting a canceling culture, promoting censorship because conservative and right wing voices were being marginalized and degraded and silenced. And I think that all voices ought to be heard. I come from a people whose anthem is lift every voice.
Yes.
As long as it doesn't engage in injurious harm. But now if the right wing's in power, they want to silence the progressive voices. Critiques of Israel, for the most part, those are anti-Semitic. Oh, really? No, we're talking about a people undergoing genocide, undergoing ethnic cleansing. 20,000 of their babies have been killed in the last few months. And when we hit the streets to protest, somehow we just anti-Semites? No, we're not even talking about the Jewish folk, not even at the center of our discussion. We're talking about Palestinians who are being mistreated in the form of genocide. And the U.S. government's involved in that war crime. The British government's involved in that war crime. The Israeli government's involved in that war crime. And there's Israeli voices that are critical of the Israeli crimes, just like there's American voices critical of the American crimes. So how does that lead toward anti-Semitism as the brush that is cast across all critics of serious substance of Israel? See, that's nothing but censorship. It's nothing but canceling culture. And what does that mean? That means they wasn't serious about commitment to free speech.
No.
In the first place, they never were. They just wanted particular voices to be silenced. They went for the principle. There's no integrity there at all in so many of these arguments.
Not at all, Doc. And even now, you know, the reports that the state of Israel, so critiquing a government is not being anti-Semitic. We critique our own government on a regular basis. You know, when Brother James Baldwin said, "I love this country more than any other country," and because of that, I'm gonna add, you know, I'm paraphrasing him, but I am going to critique this country often because I love it so much. But critiquing a right-wing government is not anti-Semitism. And even right this week, the reports that the Israeli government is stopping humanitarian aid.
Oh yeah.
Right now, like they've been doing it, but right now, since the talks of a ceasefire, they are stopping humanitarian aid, which is against our laws in this country and also against international law.
And the first day of Ramadan, so it's a slap in the face of our precious Muslim brothers.
That's it. It really is. When we come forward, Dr. West and I will continue our exploration. You are listening to Truth Time.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
Well, you could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
We are talking about whether or not President Donald J. Trump is going too far and infringing on the First Amendment, the free speech. And not only are critics speaking up about this, you have some judges too, Doc, who are saying that the president is going beyond trying to shape the messaging of the federal government, that he is, in fact, impeding on the freedom of speech rights of everyday citizens. And this is pretty much where this is going to have to be duked out in court.
Well, we just hope the courts are not as weak as Congress, not as weak as corporate media, and not as weak as the university presidents who can't say a mumbling word when 13 universities are devastated in Palestine. You just hope that the courts can come forward. But, you know, I don't have a lot of confidence in the courts either, I must say. I really don't. There are always some courageous judges. But so often, you know, the court system in the United States has been such a massive disappointment for Black people. There's been just certain moments, the Earl Warren Court, and then in the 60s. But for the most part, You know, the courts have really been complicitous with slavery and Jim Crow and the worst. And that's sad because laws are very important, but they have to be fair and just.
Well, it reminds us that the judicial system is part of the larger American system itself, and the way all the systems were founded, whether it's the legislative branch, the executive branch, or the judiciary, it's the same system. And that is why, yeah, it's the
Oh,
same.
that's so true.
Oh my goodness.
So true.
But we do have moments, as you said, some people who show courage under fire. And so let's hope that we continue to have that. And maybe, even if they don't do it for reasons of justice, maybe the judges will get tired of the president tiptoeing on their territory. I mean, they are co-equal branches of government, the three. And so since Congress is not comporting itself as if it is, hopefully some members of the judiciary, even if it's not for moral reasons, hopefully they will try to protect their turf. Dr. Manina Notes today comes from Nanny Helen Burroughs. She was a suffragette, an educator, an orator, and a civil rights activist in the 20th century, the early part of the 20th century. And this quote right here touched me so. We specialize in the wholly impossible.
Ooh, we specialize in it. Good God Almighty.
In the holy
Lord
impossible.
have mercy. She was a Black Baptist visionary leader who Higginbotham has talked about with such tremendous power.
Yes.
Righteous discontent. Oh, Nanny, we shall never, ever, ever forget you. We specialize in the impossible.
Wholly impossible. Yes, we do. So with all that you have learned today, we want you to know we, the people, we specialize in the wholly impossible. Please keep your purpose. Stand up. Do what you can do. Do what you can put your hand to do to be the change that you absolutely want to see in the world. You have been listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.